This is a quick overview of the lab identifying types of mixtures. So in this lab, the first thing that I did was to download the template for the lab report. And you will find that at the very, very bottom. If you scroll down on that assignment, at the very bottom where you see downloadable lab report document. So I made a copy and this is what I have right here. Now make sure that you need to enter all the information, um, type the title. Please do not include all these instructions right here. So let me go ahead and give an overview on how to answer some of the questions. For example, the first question is asking you to give description of something that is pure, something that is a solution, something that is a colloid. Now, make sure that you are specific. For example, um, pure means that is a substance. So when we talk about substances, we we use the word pure. Why? Because you're dealing with elements and all the atoms are the same kind and you're dealing with compounds. So pure means you have an element, you have a compound. That is one of the descriptors that we use for pure. All pure substances are also homogeneous. That means that they're evenly throughout. And not only that, but they have very, very specific physical and chemical properties. So there you have a quick overview of what you need to have under that column that says pure. Solution. Remember, we're studying mixtures. We are studying elements and compounds. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. It is a mixture, okay, where you basically have most of them. You have a solute and a solvent. Most of the solutions can be described like that. They're homogeneous, they're evenly throughout, and they do not scatter, scatter light, which means that they will not show a Tyndall effect. Remember, when we talk about Tyndall effect, we're talking about the scattering of light. Colloids. Colloids also are mixtures, but they're heterogeneous. And a colloid is very, very unique because the particles are big enough to scatter light, but they're not big enough to settle. Okay, so it's kind of like it's still a heterogeneous mixture, but it's not like a suspension where you're going to have the settle of one of the components. So pay attention to that. Then you answer all the questions. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions that you have for that section, for the pre-lab. They're asking you, what is the Tyndall effect? Uh, what does it test for? Do solution display Tyndall effect? I already went over that. Okay. Now you are going to test, and this is wrong about the instructions. You're not testing three substances. You are testing three samples. One is a colloid, one is a pure substance, and one is a solution. Okay. So we're testing three samples. Now, they're asking you to identify also your independent variable and dependent variable. Now, remember that you are testing for the Tyndall effect. That's what you're testing. And you're testing three samples. Three samples. So you're going to come up with the three samples and you're going to determine if there's a Tyndall effect or not. So I gave you hints there about the independent and dependent variable. Here you have your procedure. Keep in mind, summarize that procedure and always, always write down the steps. So you need to list them. Now, uh, the Analysis questions are relatively simple because they're just simply they're asking you to look at your data, what the information that you have collected, and then to answer those questions. The most important part of this lab report is your conclusion. In your conclusion, you are going to defend or refute your hypothesis. Okay, and so you need to make sure that you need to look at your data table. You need to make a reference to your results in order for you to defend or refute your hypothesis. Okay, you need to keep that in mind. So it has to be an extensive analysis. If you have less than 5 sentences, um, you're not doing a very good job with that conclusion. Now that I remember, I forgot to say something about the hypothesis. Guys, the hypothesis is one single sentence. It is an educated guess. It is an educated guess. Do not use personal pronouns. You are making a prediction. If you have more than one sentence, then it's not hypothesis. If you are using the word because, it is not a hypothesis because you're including an explanation. So keep that in mind when you're working with this lab. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me.